Let's practice creating a little heart inspired by the artist Chris Hughes. So to begin, I have a drawing of a heart and a sheet protector, a dry erase marker, some dice, and I'm going to roll the dice to see what I draw. I rolled a 5, which means I'm going to start with my heart's legs. I'm practicing on this dry erase sheet because later I'm going to make a permanent drawing. And I find that practicing first always helps. So this will give me an idea of what I want my heart to look like. So to begin, I have lots of leg ideas on this sheet, but that doesn't mean that I have to use the same ideas that I see. In fact, if I change my mind, I can just grab an eraser and change it. That's the great thing about practicing. Right now, I'm coming up with lots of different ideas. So instead of those first legs, I think I'm going to draw legs that are bent and then maybe add some big funny shoes. I'm the artist, so the best part is I get to decide and there's no right or wrong way to go about drawing a heart. Once I've finished one part of my heart, then I'm ready to roll the dice and move on to the next part. So now that I have some stripes on these legs, let's see what I roll to work on next. A 2 looks like the mouth. Again, there's loads of different mouth ideas for me to pick from, but if I have an idea of my own, I can always choose to draw that. And this doesn't mean that whatever I draw here has to magically be on my finished drawing. This is just where I'm coming up with my ideas. I didn't like that one so much, so I'm going to try it again and draw a different kind of mouth. Maybe a straight line, and then it's really open wide with this letter U. Maybe some silly teeth made out of little those aren't rectangles. Yep, I guess they are kind of rectangles, aren't they? Or squares. And a bump line for the tongue. Ooh, a 1. I could draw one eye. Maybe it's a cyclops. I could draw glasses. I wear glasses. I could draw 2 or 3 eyes. And then I have to decide which way are the eyes going to be looking. Could they be silly? Could they be looking right or left, up or down? It's up to me. I decided I wanted to add eyelashes, maybe even some eyebrows. You are the artist, so you get to decide. As you roll the dice, you can draw whatever you roll. But something I had trouble with was sometimes I kept rolling the same number over and over again. So eventually, I just set my dice aside and I looked to see what I hadn't drawn yet before adding that to my sheet. Of course, when you're done drawing your heart, if you want to erase and keep playing the game and draw even more, you can totally do that. But once you feel comfortable with the heart that you drew or just comfortable with drawing, then you're ready to move on. So let's grab a sheet of paper and do that now. With my sheet of drawing paper, I'm going to draw a heart. So to do that, I'm going to make sure my paper is going up and down. And first, I'll fold the paper from this side to that. And then I'll rub the paper until it's nice and flat. Now I'm going to open the paper, and my paper has 2 parts, has 2 sides, and I'm only going to draw on one side. I'm going to make an arch like a rainbow, really big and wide. It's not going to go all the way to the edge of the paper though. So notice there's a little space. So make an arch like a rainbow, really big and wide, so big that it stretches to the other side. Now I'm going to start at the end of that rainbow and make a diagonal line. So I'm going to draw a diagonal back to the fold, and then I'll have a half of a heart that's nice and bold. So now I'm going to stop right at the fold, and I'm going to close my paper back up. Now through the paper, you should be able to see half of your heart. Trace over the line that you see and press firmly with your pencil. because what I'm doing is transferring the heart to the other side of the paper. If I press lightly, the transfer won't work. So I have to press firmly. Let's open it up and see what I get. And now you can see I have a heart. That one line is what we would call a ghost line in that it's very light. So to make sure that the whole heart shows up nice, I'm going to trace over the whole thing with a permanent marker. It's important for this next step that we are all using a permanent marker. Now, I'm not using a dry erase marker. I'm using a, say it with me, permanent marker. Now, if you wanted to, I suppose you could do your whole drawing with a pencil first and then trace over your lines with a permanent marker. But because I've done so much practice on my dry erase sheet, I feel pretty confident. So I'm just diving right in. And if I draw something that I'm not really happy with, then it's on me to figure out how to turn it into something amazing. A lot of times what we think of as like a mistake or a boo-boo ends up giving us an idea of something we would have never dreamed of or thought of before. So before you rush to getting upset or a little bit angry that your drawing isn't going just right, I want you to take a deep breath and just think, where does my drawing want me to go? Where is this supposed mistake going to take me? Okay, I'm drawing some ideas from my last idea, and then some things are different. For example, I added a little bump for that knee right there, and I didn't have that in my original drawing, so it's totally up to you. I think I'm going to practice drawing with my finger first. I do that a lot because it gives me an idea of what something will look like. I try to imagine when I draw with my finger first instead of just diving right in, and that's what I did for the nose. I added a little highlight to the nose to show that it's shiny. 4 means I'm moving on to the arms, so let's see what kind of wild and wacky arms I decide to come up with. The choice is yours. Of course, you can draw along with me. If I go too fast, you can always press the pause button, or you can do your own drawing. That would be even better. You could draw one with me and then do one on your own because, like we chatted about before, practice makes a world of a difference. I think I'm going to add some little fingers onto the end of the hand. It was a tight squeeze because I was getting close to the edge of the paper there. And now I'm just going to keep adding more things. And I want you to be thinking about extras or details that you can add to your heart to really give it a personality. Is your heart going somewhere? What does your heart do for a job? What might they be carrying? Could there be a little heart nearby with them? The choice is yours, but make sure that you're drawing, of course, with a permanent marker, especially if you are going to do what I'm about to do in a moment, which is to add a little bit of color with my permanent marker to parts of my heart. Now, once your heart is finished and you've added all of the details and all of the things that you wanted to, then it's time to grab some markers. This time, I am not using permanent markers. I'm using regular schmegular coloring markers. And I'm going to use what's called the warm colors. Those are the first 3 colors in the rainbow. Do you know what the first 3 colors in the rainbow are? Red, orange, and yellow. Those are the 3 colors that I'm going to use when I add color to my heart. I'm starting off with red, and notice that I'm just coloring on the inside edge. I'm coloring only on the inside edge of the heart, and now on the outside edge of the eyes, the nose, and the mouth. Inside edge of the heart, outside edge of the eyes, nose, and mouth. Why am I not coloring the whole thing? I'll show you in just a moment, but first let me finish coloring the heart. So I'm using now orange because remember, I'm just using the warm colors. You don't have to. That's the decision that I made as the artist. And now I'm going to grab the cold colors. The cold colors are the last three colors in the rainbow. That would be green, blue, and purple. And I'm using those to add polka dots of color to the outside of my heart. You could do the opposite of me. You could use the cold colors for your heart and the warm colors for your polka dots. That's up to you, but it's important to use either one or the other, and you'll see why in just a moment. I've got all of this filled in, and now I've got a cup of just water and a paintbrush, and I'm adding just water with my paintbrush to those marker lines. And what that water is doing to my regular schmegular marker is it's saying, wake up, let's turn into some paint. It's turning my marker lines into a kind of watercolor paint. It's amazing. But notice what doesn't happen. Notice that the black lines that I drew, they don't budge, they don't move. Why is that? It's because it's permanent. Permanent means it's not going anywhere, baby. So it's going to stay right there. That's why it was so important that we used it, because otherwise the whole drawing would be smudged. Why did I only use warm colors for the heart? Because when warm colors mix and mingle together, they look beautiful. And notice these cold colors. Look how pretty they look when they're mixed and mingling together. So just add water, paint on top of those marker lines to turn that marker line into paint. Wake up, let's become some paint. And then you'll need to let your drawing dry completely. Although now it's no longer drawing, it's a painting. The reason you want to let it dry completely before you move it is because we've used a lot of water. Water can be very drippy. If I were to pick up my drawing, the water will drip down my painting, causing the colors to mix. So let it dry completely flat. And then, while you're letting it dry, go make another one. Draw on your dry erase sheet, draw another one, maybe make a bigger one or a smaller one. Who knows how many amazing hearts you are going to create. But I do know one thing, whatever you make, it will be amazing. Thank you guys so much for joining me today, and I cannot wait to see what you create. Toodles!